the internet site, I see that Switzerland is not there. I'm wondering if there are any plans to extend this plan to associated Schengen countries. Sonia is telling me that basically not for the moment, so we don't have any information on any extension that is being planned. Are there any questions? I see one raised hand, and I will give the floor now to Mose.
Hello, thank you, Eric. Yes, I would also like to ask a question concerning, this new travel platform and also, let's say, lifting of travel restrictions as was announced last week by the Commission with its recommendations. And I would like to ask to what extent, that lifting, opening of borders have been coordinated by the Commission that perhaps was foreseen in the announcement last week. I noticed, for example, that Belgium today announced that it has opened its borders to its neighboring countries, but also to Sweden, for example, while the other Scandinavian countries have not opened its borders to Sweden. So to what extent has the Commission been involved in any kind of coordination of opening the borders?
Thank you, Mose. I think the answer has been given in this press room around a zillion times. We have been involved to the extent possible, as much as we could, in the context of the powers that are ours, the prerogatives that are ours in this context. So there's really nothing more to add on this issue than what we have already discussed time and time again here in the press room. Okay, I don't know if there are other questions related to the app or to the website. Rather, at this stage, I would ask you to keep your hand raised only if it's related to this for the moment. We will come back. Athanasios.
Thank you, Eric. I'm trying the web-based application, and I'm choosing Greece, and I see a general text about the restrictions that are applied, but I don't see airport-specific information. And I will give you an example. I don't know if there is airport-specific information. I just didn't find it, but I'll give you an example. If I take my favorite airline and go from Vienna to Athens, I will not be checked because Greece says that Austria is one of the A group countries where you don't need to check passengers for COVID-19. If I take the same airline and I travel from Vienna to Thessaloniki, my city, I will be checked because the airport of Thessaloniki performs checks on all individual passengers no matter where they come from. So I was wondering, are you going to incorporate inside some states this kind of information in the application, which is actually pretty useful, or not?
Sonia, do we have an answer to that question on airport-specific related information? Let me just remind you in any case that we are dependent on the member states for the information that we can put on the website. Obviously, they have to make this information available. Sonia.
Yes, I confirm. In the demonstration that we have made, there is one section on transport and travel. So you have different icons related to the means of transport. By car, if you travel by car, what are the conditions? Then if you travel by train. And also there is an icon if you travel by plane. And normally available information should be displayed there. But as Eric has underlined, all the information that is put on the website comes from member states. So we can put only that information that has been verified and notified to us by the member states. But normally the idea is to have as complete as possible information.
So, as usual with all these web-based applications, I think that user feedback is extremely useful, and we would encourage you to provide us and your member state with your views and comments in order to ensure that the website can be improved as much as possible. Thank you. Louise.
Yes, hello, thank you. A related question. We're seeing that a lot of countries are starting to opening borders today and beginning to allow tourism, but a country like Denmark still maintains border control and quite strict measures preventing both travel in and out of the country. So how long would you consider that the temporary border control would be justified in this case? I mean, if Denmark maintains during the whole summer until August 31st, would you start to ask for more arguments, justification? What would be the procedure in that case? Thanks.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Louise. I think that is a question for Adalbert.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So I cannot tell you what we would do in this or that specific scenario about what will happen in the future. We've put out guidelines and other types of communication about the approach that we believe member states should be taking while lifting restrictions at internal borders. The epidemiological criterion is an extremely important criterion in this respect, and of course everything will depend on the evolution of the epidemiological situation. It is also possible that we lift restrictions, but then if the epidemiological situation worsens, we may have to go back. So it's very difficult for me to say something about the future. Right now, the situation is that we have called upon member states to lift restrictions by today, and most member states have done so. And we are now working, we continue to work with member states in order to coordinate further lifting of the restrictions. And of course, discussions are also ongoing about the travel restrictions at external borders, noting that we, as we have said in the roadmap towards lifting COVID-related restrictions, we believe that internal border controls should be lifted first, and external border controls or the travel restrictions at external borders at the second stage. Thank you.
Quick follow-up, if I may.
Please.
Are you wondering why Denmark seems to have such different arguments than all the other countries? I mean, why is it that everyone else seems to think that it's fine to open now, and in Denmark we have only opened for Norway, Iceland and Germany? Have you already asked the Danish government for arguments, data, justifications for this decision? Thanks.
Adalbert?
Yes, of course, we remain in very close contact with all the member states, and we have very regular coordination meetings where we discuss all of these different aspects. I would maybe just underline that it is the member states' responsibility to make the evaluation of the epidemiological situation and to apply the other criteria that we have suggested in our recommendations. And we as Commission cannot substitute ourselves to this evaluation. So as a result, there is indeed a number of different approaches among member states to these issues. However, as I said, our approach as the Commission has been to try to coordinate and to provide member states with guidance and recommendations in this respect.
All right, let's see if there are other questions. I see two hands raised. Nick, floor is yours on this issue. You're no longer on my list. You need to press speak, as the saying goes.
Brilliant. Right, that's not working now. Thanks, Eric. Just on the map, I noticed on the travel advice, it says if you're travelling from an EU country or Norway, Switzerland, Liechtenstein and Iceland, I was just wondering if it could be explained why the UK isn't on there as, at the start of this process. I think President von der Leyen said, the UK would be treated sort of like sort of member states and Schengen states. there's also been some talk in the UK about potentially doing a sort of, air bridge or travel corridor, whatever you'd like to call it, agreement with the whole EU 27. I know that this is a member state competence, but I just wondered if the UK had been in touch with the Commission on that at all as a coordinator. Thanks.
So, do we have a response to give as to why the UK is not on the map?
I believe that the information that we have included is the one provided by member states, and this leads me to conclude that no information has been provided by the UK. The information was based on questionnaires, and I don't believe that we have received information from the UK.
Have we sent the information to the UK? I think the questions to the UK is something we will clarify. And follow up on. But clearly, as you said yourself, this is something which is related to the member states. This is the Schengen area, and the United Kingdom is neither a member state nor a member of Schengen. On the travel corridors, that would be also for Adalbert again. I think.
I am not.
Or Stefan.
Yes, I would suggest that if possible.
Okay, Stefan. Any information that you have on contacts between the UK and us on travel corridors?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. At this stage, no, I don't think I can add a lot of information on this. What has been said already obviously applies in the context of assuring transport between the member states. We have to take into account, obviously, the epidemiological criteria to which Adalbert has referred just a few moments ago, but I don't think there is anything further to add at this stage.
Okay, thank you very much, Stéphane. Let's move to Stéphane Israël. Other Stéphane. Stéphane, bonjour.
Oui, bonjour.
Yes. Hello. This is a follow-up question. If I understand the strategy, the idea is to group the external borders as of the 1st of July. But if not all member states or not all Schengen countries follow the recommendation, will it still be possible to open to the outside borders? I don't know if the question was raised as to why this application does not cover the Schengen countries, but just the EU countries. Well, on that first part of your question, I would like to give the floor to Adalbert.
Merci beaucoup. Donc, du point...
Yes, thank you very much. Strictly from the legal point of view, obviously it is possible to lift the temporary restrictions before the internal border controls have been lifted. Now, having said that, and because we issued recommendations last week, the speaker has been cut off. Sorry, I was cut off, says the speaker. And so we issued recommendations last week talking about the strategy that we would like to adopt in order to cover these issues. Now, what would be useful to see is that the temporary lifting of restrictions would happen in a progressive manner, in the same way as we saw the lifting of internal borders and how that's being carried out right now. And so it is possible, as of the 1st of July, for us to see a lifting of external border restrictions, in part based on Commission recommendations. And it is also legally possible that some internal border controls will remain in place based on member state evaluations.
Go ahead.
Now, on that second question, the platform is a result of the tourism and transport package, and so this basically focuses on certain member states, and that's why this is based on member states.
Nick's previous question on the UK. Let me specify what the situation is. As Sonia was saying, we are open to the participation by third countries, provided that they understand, provided first of all that they make the request, and secondly that they commit to providing updated and regular information to the website. Now, this applies, for example, to Switzerland and to Norway, who have made the request to participate. So we will look into this. But the UK has not made such a request to participate. Okay. I believe we have exhausted this issue now, so let us move on to other subjects. Are there further questions for us today? Stéphane. Stéphane? Non? Alors, je ne vois plus.
Now, I don't see any... Oh, okay, do you hear me? Yes, please, go ahead. Yes, I have a question.